You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru atışını kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim pası. Yuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet. Ve gol!
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 174 of the Black Eagles podcast. I am your host, Sinan, live from New York City. A rainy, stormy night here in the Big Apple. And alongside me is everyone's favorite, Evran, the Akman himself. How we doing, sir?
Doing alright, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good. You know, ups and downs. How are you doing? Are you training? Is it stormy for you right now?
Yeah, it's the rain kind of passed, but it was I trained, and then when I went to go referee a game at night, that's when the rain came in. So yeah. I got all the work in so before it rained.
There you go. I did not leave the house at all today, as usual. Working from home is getting tiring. Let's move on. We've got a fun episode this week. We've obviously had a bit of a break, as I'm sure most expected we might. Things got hot and heavy for a minute, having to do 2 episodes a week for. It felt like a pretty much the whole year.
Yeah, I had a break in the middle, but
you got a little. Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, you were working your butt off in another way, but yeah, no, it was a real busy season, and so obviously culminating in just great stuff all around that we can all be happy with. It was a pleasure to be a part of it the whole season. But so yeah, you know, I think we sort of deserved a bit of a break after all that. We had the 2 cup performance, and I think we performed as well. We gave episodes for each of them, even the cup matches. So, you know, I think we did pretty well for the season for coverage. But we move along, don't we? We're on to new things, bright new paths, trails for us to hike, if you will. Evran, what do we got this week? Tell these folks what our first transfer window special is all about.
Well, unfortunately, there's no official transfers of much to talk about. There's a lot of talk going on. A lot of initial contacts being made, talks with agents. Contract negotiations, but nothing, no official, stock announcements or anything like that. But we do know we're going to be in the Champions League group stages next season, so that kind of shapes our plans. We don't have to wait. We didn't have to wait. We didn't have to worry. We're going straight to the group stages. We know we're getting the money. Now it's just how much they're going to spend and what their vision is.
Yeah, and obviously, as is usually the case. You got to talk about outgoing and incoming. I think we should start with outgoing news because it's more newsy. We have a treat, if you will, for a couple. We've reported on I think 3 seasons now, and for each of them we've referenced your lists. But for the last one, you were here for it, and we talked sort of more directly about these lists. But every offseason, you kind of have your own little list of guys that you're looking at that are sort of free
every
agents.
time one player signs. So we'll see. This time I cheated a little bit, but the player was on the list the year before. He's been on the list. So if he signs, I think it counts.
I don't think you're cheating. No, and I think I've been sort of impressed by the ability that your lists have of not only predicting guys that tend to actually end up coming to Turkey, even guys who are not here. But and often, like, rarely does your list apply to Beşiktaş. We rarely get the guys in it.
I had Edgar, on the list for like 2-3 years, and he went to Trabzon.
Yeah, exactly. No, you often you predict these moves somehow.
I had Halil Dervişoğlu on the list in 2019, and then in 2020 he went to Gala on loan. I don't always get exactly on the money, but
But and even like you've had guys who've done well elsewhere in Turkey that maybe were a little bit off the cuff. I think a couple of guys for Alanya you've sort of mentioned. Didn't you have Cocker on there?
No, I had Salih Uçan back before he went to Alanya, and then I also had Kitsu on the list for a while. I don't think people took him on. Took him, for. I think when I first put him, people didn't take him seriously, but this season he kind of showed out a little more. So.
Well, so I'm gonna hand the mic to you for a minute, so first of all, but before we do that, before we have fun with your kind of 15 guys to look for in the transfer window, and we'll do a little countdown and drum rolls and all that. Let's talk about some sort of official news first. Outgoing, I suppose. Let's start there, and let's start from the back line, start from the keeper, all the way through the back line, all the way up the midfield to strikers. And what news do we have as far as guys leaving Beşiktaş that were on our very successful championship double cup winning side from 2020-21? Who you got?
Some intro. So you're starting goal. Both Ersin and Utku are in the news a little bit. Utku's contract is up, but it's expected that he will re-sign, but that hasn't officially happened, but it's the expectation based on the media. The bigger news is...
I heard that was a 3-year contract even, right?
Yeah, it hasn't officially happened, but it's expected he'll sign, and the details will probably be more clear once that gets done. Ersin is the bigger news because Nice made 2 official offers for him. 5 million, which was rejected, and then they came back with 7 million euros. And it wasn't like Beşiktaş was like nah right away. It was kind of like we'll think about it. I think the expectation is that Beşiktaş is asking for more than 7 million.
Supposedly 12, we've said.
Yeah, so we'll see what's going on with that, but that's...
Wasn't it initially they offered like 5, we were like, no, 12, and then they were like 7, we were like, no, 12. Like, I don't think we're budgeting for 12, hopefully.
So it's not clear if we're asking for 10 or 12 from, different sources say different things, but we know that the first offer was 5 and the second offer was 7. So we knew that's from Sercan Dikme, so that's just about, as close to gospel as we'll get. Because he's, buddy with the board, so.
Nothing's obviously a guarantee in this business, regardless. But
yeah, he's friends with the board, so the current board members. So
it would certainly make sense that
he gets the best ones. So.
It would make sense that a young Turkish keeper on the championship side, winning side, would get some attention from somewhere in Europe.
Absolutely.
Not that Nice would be the solution necessarily, but anyhow, moving on up. We go to our back line. I think there's news of... I've heard conflicting things about Montero coming back. I heard on the one hand we were sending him back, and then I heard on the other hand we were using the +1. So I guess let's just leave an asterisk on that one?
Yeah, it's... there's an option to loan him again. At one point it was like, they wanted to keep everyone, but... Then it was more like, yeah, it looks like Mensah, Montero, and someone. I think those are the 2 that would probably be sent back. But Montero is not, He posted today on his story. Not that that means anything, but he posted like the Beşiktaş logo, like the little like spinning Beşiktaş emoji kind of thing, which is not a thing you do if you don't want to come back.
Yeah, you'd think.
So
and
we'll see what's going on with
his
that. His
contract is theoretically over if it's not been re-upped. So. Especially given the fact that theoretically he'd already be done. Like, I don't know. But although it could also be like a goodbye thing. So it's you never know with those kinds of.
Yeah, it was him training for next. Like he was getting he already started his preparations for next season, and he put like the logo.
Ooh,
ambitions were.
that suggests something. That's actually fairly suggestive now.
It's suggestive, yeah, but it doesn't. That just could be what he wants, not what's going to happen. So
Right. I've said many times I support it. I wouldn't mind us getting a third central defender that would be more competition for that spot. With him. That might even push him to fourth along the line. I don't mind it at all, though. If he were third or fourth, in that kind of. Again, I'd like for someone to potentially be better than him as our backup, but I think Wellington Vida is great, and like frankly, if it's cheaper for us to keep Montero and not really screw around, so we have more money for our real needs, then I wouldn't fool around with it too much personally. But anyway, on to fullbacks. Now, there's no news of anyone outgoing, which is kind of funny, because I guess, should we mention the Lexalt thing incoming?
Well, I guess his main thing is Rosier. He's like
Yeah.
We're still in talks with him and his, and Sporting, because you have to agree with Sporting. And all indications are that he wants to stay so far, but, Sporting has to agree to let him come back. I think what I saw was the initial offer from Besiktas was another loan with an option to buy. I don't think that was accepted. If I had to guess, I would assume it would be loan with obligation to buy, or loan with if certain
like triggers.
Like if it triggers certain triggers.
Half of the game.
So, yeah, that's what if I had to assume what would happen.
That's a necessity. He's got to be brought back, I think. Meanwhile, on the opposite flank, Ridvan Yilmaz has been confirmed on the Euro team. I guess that's news. He wasn't cut.
Yeah. He was picked over Mr. Janner.
Well, I hope that sticks, frankly. But I know Umut Merash is also probably the man who's going to get the start. But
most likely, yeah.
Let's shuffle our focus.
Who we've also been linked to, actually.
Yeah, well, and I wouldn't mind that at all, especially with, I guess, news of the... Let's not even talk about, actually, the news of the quote-unquote foreigner limit, because nothing's official there, and I don't want to get all into it. We have enough content here. But so, supposedly, there's talk of us going for Lexalt. I don't buy it, because I don't think I haven't heard anything about us trying to sell Nsakala, and we still have Ridvan. And not that Ridvan's even relevant, because you can't have... It's really an issue of... we wouldn't have two foreign left backs, obviously. So, if Lexalt were in any way realistic, it would be because we were upgrading over Nsakala, which I think a lot of people would love, but is not particularly realistic. I don't see us, going into more of these, Jermaine Lens... Tyler Boyd, sitting on foreigner type things willingly anymore, right? Like that. Yeah. Nor should we. I don't think we should expect the team to do that. It's not financially prudent. Do you have any thoughts on the Lexalt stuff? I mean, I love the player.
I think that's agent, trying to stir up interest. So I don't really think that's serious. It's especially it came from. What's the Italian
Marzio,
guy?
Right?
The Marzio, which 99 out of 100 times with Turkish rumors he's wrong. Except that one time when Boateng came, he was on the money. But other than that, he's been wrong every other time. So I think it's just agent,
He also was making claims about Dortmund going to some side in Italy during the season. So that hasn't happened. Although I guess we could probably move on to that next, because there is some talk. Well, I guess just quickly I will mention that I like Lexalt. I think he's a great player. It'd be fun, but I also don't dislike Nsakala the way everyone else does, so I'd be ambivalent on this, I guess. Especially I don't really want us wasting time on positions that we don't need to be wasting time with, considering we have quite a few needs, which we'll get into. But so yeah, I guess moving on to Dortmund, who I haven't heard anything about that Italian stuff lately, but there is talk of Spain now.
Yeah, Spain has, I think, been the most consistent rumors, but I think nothing's going to happen until the Euros, and then, I think there's going to be, as they said, there'll be one more talk with him. But, we'll see.
I mean, I guess credit him for giving us that opportunity. You know, I don't know.
I guess
He's probably going to come in with a really outlandish.
He might not play at all, so you know.
No, I think he would say, like, if you want to re-sign me, you have to pay me X amount. And it's going to be a huge number that he knows we wouldn't be able to do it, so that it's like pretty much. I think that's all we're waiting for at this point. But anyway, but so yeah, it was like Real Betis, I think.
Yeah, that's the name that's been thrown around.
Cadiz or something.
Even Lille's been thrown around before, but you know.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Throwing around.
I mean, that would make some sense with all the Turks and everything that they seem to have an affinity for. But all right. Elsewhere in midfield, there's no need to talk about Joseph. He's ours. Atiba. There is. I think he signed again for another year, didn't he?
Not officially yet.
There was talk of it,
but it's expected. Yeah.
Ozan's on contract. Am I forgetting anyone else in the midfield that could be outgoing? Ljajic. We haven't heard anything about Ljajic.
Ljajic was the one rumor
from Russia.
From A-Sport that CSKA Moscow was interested, and then nothing has been said since.
That's been a couple months. So.
No, it's been like 2 weeks, but.
Has it really? Oh man.
It was after this.
2 weeks for me.
It was after this season ended. So.
It's been a long 2 weeks. I just found out my cat of 13 years is dying. Sorry to report that on air, but it's been a really long 2 weeks for me. And it's like some weird cancer. It's like incurables. We're just like gonna have to watch him deteriorate. But anyway, that's also why I've been a little bit inactive on Twitter and with the podcast too, dealing with that. Haven't even told my daughter yet. I don't know how we're gonna do it. Yeah, it's a bummer. He was my lucky cat. You guys have been hearing him on air over the years too, so you guys know him. Good cat, great cat. Anyway, let's move things along. Sorry about that. So next up, any talk on the wings? Gazal, Gökhan Töre is inked.
No, I mean, not officially. He has a +1 option. He signed a 1+1. So he's technically a free agent, but I think it's expected he'll also come back. So
you'd hope so. We definitely need that. Guven Yalchin, I'll mention him as a winger because I really hope he's never seen as a striker on there. There was Sergen Yalchin spoke at length about how he was going to be like in light of Kyle Larin. He was talking about Guven Yalchin as his next like project. Who needs, he'd sent him away to gain some confidence and hoped he'd come back with some fire, but
yeah, it didn't happen.
Evran and I'm going to go on the record as saying, this for you, but I don't think we're hoping for much from Guven Yalchin, the Guvenator.
Yeah, I think maybe it's been the last 2 years of just straight disappointments. Starting to lose faith in the man.
That's right. Now it was Khan who really had no time for Guven.
Yeah.
Khan is done with that kid. But so yeah, he is coming back, so we'll see. I mean, I guess given the way we needed depth late in the season, it wouldn't hurt to keep some of these sort of Turkish projects, he or Atakan or both, for emergencies. And even just having on the bench. But so, especially also, with the foreign stuff, which we're not going to talk about. We keep alluding to. What else? Gazal, I guess. That's what's left on the wing.
Yeah, Gazal's loan's over. Besiktas wants him. Gazal wants to come. But Monaco's interested, and Monaco's got the money. So, we'll see what happens. But it's going to be a tough transfer.
But yeah, he also has very formally, supposedly requested to come back to Besiktas if it's possible. Obviously, that isn't fully in his hands. What about? I guess we should probably mention him as a winger too. So this is an incoming rumor, but the Kenan stuff, it's a pretty hot rumor. His manager has even supposedly come in to talk with us, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we still have a couple more outgoing. There's a Boubacar. I guess it's the main.
I'm saying wings. We'll get to the striker I added Kenan as a winger because I think also we'd likely see him in that
You also
role.
missed the center mid coming in, but it's okay.
Oh well, yeah. I thought I'd save that for your list.
Okay,
For your
makes
list.
sense. Yeah,
I
Kenan
saved
is
that one for you.
his agent is in Istanbul. Rumored to be talking to all 3 big teams.
Is that right?
His
I
contract's
didn't
up.
know that.
Yeah, he's on international duty right now with the national team, so I'm not sure if he'll make that decision until the Euros is over, but his agent is clearly already,
Planting
getting
seeds.
started. Yeah.
I'm sorry to speak for you here again, but I'll definitely speak for myself when I say this, and I think you'll agree. I don't know about this Kenan dude. I don't having watched all of our friendlies thus far. He's been one of the guys that stood out in particular that's not really impressing me. I don't know. Thoughts?
I've never been a fan. I guess people have called him the Turkish lamb. He can be good in some situations. I just think he's going to be overvalued in terms of the money he's asking. It's not like he's going to come on and play for Umut Nayyar's salary. He's going to ask for probably $1 million plus. So to me, that's not worth it.
But with his being a Turk being of increasing value, there's some sense in making it, pulling that trigger, just in case he's not a complete train wreck, I guess. That's not a huge vote of confidence. All right, let's talk about strikers, and obviously the big one has to be Abubakar, and we could talk about Costa or. Is there any? I haven't heard any other. Seferovic, which one I think it's already been shot down by the nonsense. The same nonsense sources that brought it up, and then I think who's the Greek one I saw? Fortunas or something.
I didn't see that one.
Someone I wasn't too happy about, and I didn't see it legitimately, so I won't talk about it too much. But let's talk about Abu and I guess Costa.
Abu is still not signed. They're still in negotiations.
I hear we're kind of really loaded up with clauses, right?
Yeah, the president said, no one's bigger than the club kind of thing. If they can't come to agreement, they're not going to break their limit for the spending on Abu. But I think it's not panic stations yet that he's not coming back, but it's, still in the balance.
Yeah.
Things could go either way, so.
Yes. I really hope he stays. I think it would be nice to have a striker stick around for a little while for a change. Costa, you think there's any truth to that? I think he'd be way too expensive, no?
Yeah, I think his agent's just talking. Yeah. I mean, I think his salary's probably double than what we would pay, so.
Yeah. I think maybe previously we've talked with him, in those previous, when we were looking at other guys in the past in a pinch, with Balotelli, Costa type, emergency things, and I think landing on Abu worked out. I don't know. We definitely need some depth though, so I don't know. Have you heard any other good rumors about a backup?
Not really. I mean, I think Halil Dervishul I've heard a couple times.
He's more of a winger though, isn't he?
He's a 9 that can play as a winger. So.
Another one.
But he's not
that's the classic Turkish situation.
He's a good dribbler, but he's not strong. So that's kind of why sometimes they play him out on the wing. In Turkey, he played as a striker, but in Twente, they played him as a winger. So.
Yeah, and obviously, Sergen would probably utilize him as more of a winger because we're, I suppose, trying to replace Larin. Although there's no talk of that recently. I don't know if that's worrisome or not. I don't know what to do with that info. So let's move on. Let's talk about our feature presentation for this episode, Evran. Evran's famous transfer list, an annual event that we've alluded to in the past, and this year we're going to make a big deal about because, honestly, we don't really have anything else to talk about. But it really does serve as a nice sort of a preview of the transfer window. We have nothing official to report, but in a way, you said unfortunately we don't have anything to report. I will actually counter that with fortunately we don't, because I think it's nice to go into this thing clean, with a bit of foresight. We can kind of look back at this episode in the future. I can quote us if we get anything really right. We have a pretty good track record of predicting things and getting things right, so who knows? Who knows what you have in store for us, Evran? Our whole reputation is in your hands, sir. But so yeah, 15 players that Evran's got his eye on. I've had him rank them, and he's going to drop it in reverse order. So we're going to be counting down to the grand event where everyone talks about the number one guy he wants. Is it the number one guy you want for us, or the number one guy we need? Like by
I did it by like what we
somewhere
need
in between,
and what we can use, and what can and ranked with like money. Also, there are some players that.
So you might have liked the guy more, but because he's expensive, you dropped him
because
down.
It's expensive, he was dropped down. So
this is a real utilitarian list here. This is gonna function.
Yeah, utilitarian.
I like it. So drum roll, our very first drum roll for number 15 on Evran's super special transfer list.
Also, one quick disclaimer: I try to take out any names that are way out of left field. I've had those in the past, and it's mostly names you'll know or have heard of. I'm trying to be reasonable here, and also I don't watch every single league because I have other things I need to do. So yeah, there's not going to be any Montenegrin league players or something like that because I don't have the time to watch those. So let's go.
I am going to crack a beer for this.
Number 15 out of 15.
Ready? Yeah, drum roll for Evran's super special transfer list. Number 15 goes to.
He's about to be a free agent. He's been on loan in the Turkish league for 3 years now. Badu Ndiaye at number 15.
Wow, that low on the list. I figured that could have. Now I'm excited to see what's coming higher.
So I think maybe I've watched this guy since he played for Osmanlı his first season, and I liked him a lot back then. But recently, the reason he dropped so low is I have question marks about his desire to continue to play. He spent last half of the season on loan in Saudi Arabia and then spent half it at Fatih Karagümrük. I think he might be more in it for the money now, which is the worry. However, he's only 31, and if he wanted to be that Atiba replacement as a 6/8, he's capable of it. He's got a huge engine. He's got good skill on the ball. Good, he can cover the ground. So I think it's potentially could be good, especially for depth for long term. But I have question marks, so that's why he's number 15.
Hey, one thing real quick. I'm hearing a little feedback. Is there some?
We good?
Something maybe, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
If there was something going on, that's probably fixed. All right. So next up on the list, drum rolls, number 14.
This has been already mentioned in the episode. It's been on my list before. I think Stelios Kitsiou is always my favorite, budget right back to mention. I don't think we need a right back because we have, Rose probably to come. But, if it's, I don't know, the last day of the transfer window and we need a right back who's cheap, I think Kitsiou with 1 year left on his contract for a team that just got relegated could be, a cheap purchase. And I think we saw him this year. If you watch the game, he actually cooked up against us. The guy can play. It's good with his feet. I think he would fit in at a big team, but I don't think we need it. It's more of just if it comes down to it, we can't get the right backs we want. I think he could fill in and do the job.
And how old is Kitsiou?
27. He's turning 28 in September, so almost 28.
Not bad at all. Okay, so I like these first two entries. Next up, drum roll has begun again because we're on an unlucky number here, but maybe it'll go well for us. Number 13.
Number 13. I think just recently he was playing in the 4th division of Turkey. Currently he's on Altınor. Metehan Mimaroglu is my number 13. They paid $8,000 for him in January of 2020. So very under the radar player for a while. He had 7 goals and 8 assists in the second league this year, and then in the regular season he also scored a goal in the playoffs. For me, it's a question mark if he's good enough to play for Beşiktaş. He's 26. If he was 22, I'd be all over him. He only has 1 year left on his contract. He has a lot of confidence. He's good on the ball. Some people call him the Nawakayem of the 2nd division. I like him a lot, but I can't justify putting him any higher than 13. And I don't really know if we need. I don't think we might not necessarily need another player in that position.
Depth. So wait, what was his position again?
Left winger. He's right-footed. Likes to cut
26, Turkish.
26. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, man, for depth, you can't go wrong. We tried out. We took a swing.
Also, I have a soft spot for guys that really grinded it out. To drop down to lower divisions and came from nothing. I think he has a little chip on his shoulder. So
started from the bottom. Now we're here. That kind so to speak. All right, I like it. I really like it. This is getting downright educational. So the drum roll is back for the big number 12. Who's next on your list?
Been on the list before. His value has dropped a little bit this year. Jamie Luke Collins. He was a left back I wanted for a while, kind of like in Sakala, but a little bit better defensively. Slightly better defensively. Not quite as good offensively, which is not great. But he's 26 still. He has 1 year left on his contract. If Sakala leaves or something, I don't think it will happen, but I think it's a player we should always keep our eye on. The Nigerian international. The boy can play.
If it came down to we actually could get Laxalt or Jamie Luke Collins, who would you want?
I would want Collins on loan. He'd be cheaper, and he'd not on loan Collins permanently for less money than Laxalt on loan.
Wow.
Because he's currently playing in the 2nd Bundesliga. He got relegated last year, so I think he's a better option for us.
Bold. I like it. All right, moving on. So that was number 12, and Jamie Collins. So we have another 26-year-old, a left back. Drum roll starts up again, and our next one is number 11. We're getting down there. Evran, who's number 11 on your super special list?
Another boy who was on my list last year. Another left back, very troubled recent couple years, Hamza Mendel. Schalke paid $6 million for him in what year? No, he's Moroccan in 2018. And since then it's kind of gone downhill the last 2 years. He only played a few minutes this year in the league, so his value is tanked. He's good on the ball. He's fast. He can play as a left
a Rosier profile, though, huh?
He can play as a wing back or as a fullback.
No, I meant in terms of how he fell under the radar, but that's the profile.
So he actually played in Dijon also, which I think Rosier played. He's a Lille Academy product. I know Moroccans have bad reputations in some areas, but I think those players that are, when their value is lower than their talent, he's still only 23. I think it's worth a lookout for him.
Yeah, why not?
So, especially if they just got relegated to Schalke, they might just be like, just get out of here. So I think that's another reason to look at.
So number 11?
But you don't necessarily need a left back, so he's number 11.
Yeah, that's why he gets down lower here. So number 11 is a 23-year-old left back from Morocco. All right, and so here we go. The drum roll gets even more intense because we have reached the top 10. Number 10 on Evran's super special transfer list. What have we now, sir?
Number 10 is a player that we linked to last year, Eren Dinkci. If you remember the man with the superb goal-scoring record in youth football. He made his professional debut this year. But there's a couple problems here. He switched his allegiance to Germany U20 after playing for Turkey U19. So that is a problem. And then he still has 2 years left on his contract. The positives are his team just got relegated Werder Bremen, so maybe they'll be more willing to sell. Also, he played only a little bit in the Bundesliga. He scored 1 goal in about 100 minutes, but he played 8 games in the Regionalliga, which is the 4th division of Germany for their B team. He scored 7 goals and 2 assists in 8 appearances, which is very good. Kind of keeping in track with his youth record. So I think he's got potential, but switching to Germany, he might not actually end up being a Turkish, eligible player. And also,
oh crap! Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, there could be some issues there, and how much he would cost might be a little bit expensive for a young player. But good goal scorer that's Turkish and young, always gets on the list.
Why not?
Number 9.
He's a striker.
He's a striker, yes.
And his age was 19.
19.
Wow.
Yeah.
19-year-old striker. If only he was still a Turk. I guess he's still young enough to switch back.
He could switch back. Yeah, he could switch back, but.
All right, interesting. And we do need a backup striker. That fits fits a need certainly. All right, moving on. Drum roll back. Number 9 on the list. Who do we got here?
This one has an interesting name. It's 18-year-old striker. His name is Thiago Suer Barbaros Çukur. He's born in the Netherlands, but he just made his debut for the U21 Turkish national team. And he plays for the Watford U23s. Wait for this. He's a striker. He's Turkish, and he's 6'4".
Woo!
Imagine that. He's a big dude, but kind of weird when you watch him play. You're like the typical basketball thing where you have that tall guy who shoots threes.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that because he likes to just drop deep, get the ball, and dribble around. Really good with his feet. He's 6'4". He's got a good shot on him. I think there's a lot of potential there. And I think there's a lot of the Turkish strikers that we see are all kind of smaller dribbler kind of things. I think it's very interesting. He's 18. Has only 1 year left on his contract. I'm really big on this guy. He hasn't made his professional debut yet.
20.
But he's 18.
18. Why do
he turns 19.
Am I hearing things? What's going on? Nice. Oh, wow. So an 18/19-year-old striker. Wow.
Yeah, he'll be 19 partway through the season. So
nice.
Next season. So.
All right. I like where this is going. All right. So that was number 9 on the list. Drum roll back because we're coming in on number 8. Who's next?
Number 8. I apologize if I do not pronounce his name right. His name is Mikhailo Mudryk. He's a 20-year-old number 10/left winger from Shakhtar Donetsk. I saw him play once, and I'm like, his hair was so bad. I'm like, how can your number 10 have hair like this? I look like a Karen haircut. I was like, this is terrible. And then he touched the ball once. I was like, never mind. This boy is amazing. I had to immediately look up who he was, what's going on with this man.
That's that reminds me of Arshavin. I remember when Arshavin first came up, and I was like, "Who is this little Russian peasant boy?" And then suddenly I was like, "Oh, okay, not bad."
So his technical abilities through the roof. Problems, and there's some good things, some bad things. He had struggled to get minutes at Shakhtar. They loaned him out the year before, didn't get a lot of minutes. He came back, didn't get a lot of minutes this year. He's 20 years old. I think he's good enough. A little bit like Hasic, but he's right-footed. However, the big problem is he has a contract till 2025. I don't know what Shakhtar is going to ask for him. So
they would ask for that much. They haven't invested that much, right?
I'm not sure. I haven't done my research. So that's why he's at 8. I think he's a very good talent. I like him a lot. Other than his hair, but
except for those terrible haircut. Well,
Yeah, he was like a former like wonder kid at 18. They were like, oh, he's going to this team, and he went nowhere. And now he's 20, but he's still 20. So
Nice.
if his value is, I mean, transfer market has him at 600K, which means nothing. But
nice.
we'll see. Yeah, I think he's a very interesting prospect. So.
See, we're kind of out of the loop on this as gringos, the gringo diaspora here. But supposedly in Europe, Turks have a reputation as being good barbers, or at least
Yes, they do.
active barbers. So I don't know. Hopefully, maybe he can find himself a good haircut in Turkey. All right, I like it. And so now we're moving on. The drum rolls back to my personal favorite, lucky number 7, and maybe yours because of your man Quaresma.
He's not quite. He's number 1. No, I'm joking.
Of course. Number 7. Who's number 7 on the list?
It's a center back, Abdul Kerim Bardakçı. It's a player we have been linked to a little bit. Apparently, he's on the list, is what we've been told by Sercan Dikme. I watched him play, so I watched Denizlispor in the 2nd division. So a few years ago, he was on loan there. I was impressed with him. He finally got his breakthrough at Konya. This season, he got his first national team call-up. Some people have doubts if he's good enough to play for a top 3, top 4 side, which I understand. However, he has 1 year left on his contract. He's 26, and he's left-footed. Those are all pretty good things. I think he's a little bit of a warrior.
He'd perfectly fit the profile of that 3rd/4th central defender.
Yeah,
fight
the depth
Montero for 3rd.
Also,
right? And then
he
also
can play left back.
Ooh, I like.
He's not a great left back, but a little bit like Tosic. He scored 2 goals and had 4 assists this season as a center back in the Super League. He's not bad with his feet. He's a hard worker. He's a bit undersized, I will admit. Hasn't had experience playing at a big club, but I think he could be very much worth a shot.
And again, especially since we're looking for depth, for guys who would probably mostly play, not in the Champions League, right, but in Turkey. So
yeah, so
I like that. I like that one a lot. Yeah, I liked him too. Him and there's another central defender who I won't mention because maybe he's on your list. But so moving along, number 6. The drum rolls back. Who's number 6 on the big list, sir?
This is a boy who's been linked to another Turkish team, Trabzon, but he's been on my list for a while. I liked him. I saw him play for Senegal for the first time at AFCON. Yusuf Sabali. He can play as a right back and a left back, which I really like. We don't necessarily need maybe a fullback that's a foreigner. He might be a little expensive, but he's a free agent. He's 28 and he can play 2 positions.
If Rosier doesn't pan out, that'd be
if Rosier doesn't pan out, and then to have a guy who can play both positions instead of having to throw Necip in there,
Oof, yeah.
It's a nice one. So
I like Sabali. I played Football Manager. Gosh, what year? Maybe 15. I'm getting up there age-wise myself. But yeah, it featured Sabali playing for I brought Altay to the Champions League, and he was a guy who became a star. I think it might have been left back for me, but nonetheless, yeah. I know the name. I like it. And Football Manager does notoriously do pretty decent scouting, or have access to decent scouting, whatever it is.
Yeah, he's also spent his whole career in France. He's French-born. He's great with his feet. He's very fast. I think he would be an amazing transfer, but the money has to be right, and the foreigner limit has to be right. So.
All right. Nice. So that's number 6. We haven't had anyone over 30 in a few rotations.
Of course.
I like it. Next up, number 5. So sort of a big number here. Who's number 5 on the list?
Yeah, so I put him on the list. I made my list a couple days ago, and he popped up in the news with Ortaç Çizgi yesterday. Beşiktaş is interested in him, which I understand why. He's plays in the 2nd division for Ankara Keçiörengücü. Just made his debut pretty recently with the U21 national team. He had 8 goals and 5 assists as a left winger in the 2nd division this year. He's 21 years old. Problem is he has 3 years left on his deals. They might ask for too much money, which is, so far apparently they asked for $3 million for him, which is too much. But He's not a typical Turkish winger. He's tall.
Wait, what's his name? Have you said it?
Oh, sorry, Barış Alper Yılmaz. I apologize. He goes by Barış Yılmaz.
Nice.
He's tall, he's strong, and he's quick. He's not like blazing speed, but he's a powerful runner. He's good on. He likes to cut on his right foot. He's a bit too direct at times, but he's got good technique. He can cross and stuff. So I think he's a promising player. He's young. He's physically good. Will it work out? He might be too expensive, but I think he'll go to the. It's almost guaranteed he's going to go to the Super League this year, based on what he's done. So hopefully, if I had to pick, it would be us, but it might be too expensive. So
yeah, and I suppose he'd probably play more for like Konya or something. But at the same time, we obviously lacked and need depth. So yeah, I like that. So how old? 21. A winger,
21.
which we need. Oh, 20. Okay, nice.
21.
So next up on the list, number 4. We're really getting down there. Number 4 on Evran's super list. What do we have?
I had to throw in one reach cost player that I've always liked. Former Shakhtar boy. He's now a free agent. Alex Teixeira is 31 years old. If we had to drop the money on a player, if he wanted to go do well in the Champions League, that's an attacking player. Let's say if Laic left, if the money was right, I would have to pick him. He can play as a 10, as a winger, as a striker. One of the most talented players I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Went to China for 50 million for no reason.
One of those.
Yeah, there's a reason they paid 50 million for him. Is he was ridiculous at the time, but it's a risk reward thing, you know. If he's up for it, does he have the desire to come back? Is the money going to be right? Does he want to come back and he's going to ask for a reasonable salary, or does he just want more money? But you know, maybe he's made enough money. He's been in China for 4 or 5 years, so he's probably made 30-40 million already. So he's number 1 in terms of quality, but cost brings him down. So.
And for anyone who's asking about Talisca, it should be noted that he's signed Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, for Al Nassr.
Yeah, Al Nassr.
So forget about him. He signed a permanent deal again somewhere else.
Wild. So next up, but I think he was bought, right? Because he still had a contract in
Yeah, he was bought, yeah.
China. Anyway, so next up on the list, number 3, the top 3. Who do we have, sir? Drum roll, intensified.
Yeah, I mentioned him already. He was on my list in 2019. Gala loaned him in this year. He was made the Milli Takım squad for the Euros. Halil Dervişoğlu, I think.
Ooh.
The money's a little bit steep. If we can get a loan with an option to buy, I really think we should get him. I think, he's a little skinny, but I love what I saw him at the youth levels. I know he's had some issues here and there, but I think he's one of the top talents in his position in Turkey, and we have Sergen as a coach. Get rid of Güven. Halil is the better version. He actually has a first touch. He's a good dribbler. He's maybe not the best shooter of all time, but I don't think we need that. So
yeah,
I've been eyeing him for a while, and I'm still, I think if we're gonna sign him, it's gonna be now. So
nice. No, I mean, whereas Kenan has not really impressed in the friendlies we've had thus far with the national team, Halil has actually been fairly impressive. So I dig it.
He's under contract at Brentford, which is of note. They just got promoted to the Premier League, so he may not want to come to Turkey.
He wasn't playing for them though, right?
He played one cup game, I think. He scored in that cup game, but
when you mentioned a guy who Galatasaray had loaned out, I thought you were going Gedson Fernandes, and so I guess we should probably mention that rumor later. But let's just move along, though. Let's chug along with your list. Number 2 on everyone's super list. What have we, sir?
This is Khan's boy, Arda Kızıldağ. He's a center back. He's 22.
I'm glad I didn't spoil him for you.
He has 1 year left on his contract. He played for Gençlerbirliği. They just got relegated. We need a center back for depth that's affordable. It doesn't take up a 400 spot. Similar to Montero age-wise. I don't see why we shouldn't go for him. It just seems logical. As the third option as a center back. I just think it makes sense. Not too expensive. Young talent. Turkish. What more can you ask for? So, and he played 31 games in the Super League last year. So,
yeah, I like it. That was the guy who I didn't mention earlier because I had a feeling you'd mention him, and I had forgotten since. I guess it was the beer. No, yeah, I like that call. I definitely like that call. He stood out for me for sure, and as one of very few guys who could stand out for a Gensler side that was not particularly impressive for the most part. But yeah, he was good. Well, that leaves one person left, Evran, and the drum roll is, you can only imagine how loud it would be at this point. What are we going with this, sir? Number one on your list.
He's supposed to be close to joining already, but I've been always high on this man, even though I think everyone gave up on him in about 2016. Salih Uçan. He almost joined us in 2012. He didn't. Went to Fenerbahce. The rest was history. He's bounced around Europe, and now he's spent time at Alanya. I think the league took notice of him this year, but I immediately saw last year that he was about his business. He's always been a very gifted player. I'm excited for him to come in. Free transfer. He's 27. Number 8. I think he'll slot right in, potentially the starting 11. So I think it's a great transfer. I've wanted it for a while. Free agent, reasonable salary. They're talking like, I think around 800,000 euros a season. I'm excited. So
Sergei Yalchin has already previously gushed about his talent and ability and his desire to coach him. So that's a good sort of anecdote there.
Yeah. And, I think he's been through a lot. He's a little more mature now than he used to be. I think some of the stuff was a little harsh with him, where he maybe wasn't successful. So, fun fact, I think Fenerbahce sent him to get Miha Zajc permanently, if you remember him, from Empoli. I don't think
that
still at the club. So, I'm excited about my boy. Technically, he shouldn't be on the list this year because everyone knows he's about to join, but he was on my list before, so I slotted him in there.
That's clean. And he hasn't joined yet. Theoretically, supposedly Fener and Galatasaray have been sort of trying to snipe him. So, I like it. No, and he is he really fits the needs that we have right now as far as positionally and him being a Turk and a talented one with a bit of upside still, given his age. I don't think he's young enough that you could really think, oh, he's going to make us millions, but he could theoretically make us millions. I just, not double digits or anything like that, but, honestly, he's a free agent and he has enough that if he had a good Champions League with us, for example, this year, who knows? He certainly has the ability to make it back onto the Turkish national team with some. He
should have been already, but
I know. I think it's weird.
Somehow Thailand made it over.
Thailand makes no sense. Exactly. Whatever. I don't want to be all salty. 2 cups, 2 days, right? Let's just focus on that. Well, I like it, man. Great list. All sort of realistic, well scouted. Let's keep our eyes out for all of those names, even if they don't necessarily come to Besiktas. Your list has a funny way of being relevant typically, so that's thank you, Evran. Should be a fun episode for our listeners. So I guess what's to be expected next? Not much. We'll be back, probably next week or something, right? I assume next week. Definitely within the next, I think maybe week or two, we're gonna do the big review of the season episode with special guests, but that's being arranged. Before then, though, I really hope we'll have some transfer news to report. I think we likely will have something, whether it's big news or not. remains to be seen. But, you know, any final words, Evran? Final thoughts for these loyal listeners?
I hope people like my list. I think this is the first time I've gone through it completely.
Yeah.
Welcome to I've been doing this on my own because I'm bored for years. That's how nerdy I am. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. So
I did. I certainly did. No, it's cool, and it's a good way to start the window without having anything to report officially. You know, keep your eyes out, folks. Something to pay attention to. Some official Black Eagles podcast fodder for the transfer window. But so yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back sooner or later, probably sooner, and not too much later. In the worst case, we'll find something to talk about if it's not a transfer. But so yeah, stay tuned as always. Follow us on Twitter at Eagles_podcast. Follow myself at Sir_Wright_a lot. Don't follow Evran. He is what's called an internet hermit. Of course, follow us on Instagram, Black Eagles Podcast, one word. And as always, although there's no real cause for alarm here, go Besiktas! Let's go! Peace out, everybody. Yeah, I guess we'll have some preseason stuff to talk about soon, right?
after the Euros, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, Euros.
Or maybe around the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, I just mean to announce the schedule, right? Yeah, not necessarily.
Also, the transfer window opens officially in a week, so
June 10th. Yeah. And Portland's out. They just lost in the playoffs. The Lakers looking bad. Anthony Davis out. I won't even mention my big. Peace out, everyone.
Besiktas International hopes you enjoyed this program.